necessarily coincide with those of our ownership, management, or staff.
Welcome to Tech Talk 2020 with Sanjay Parker, the show where we get smarter together. I'm your humble tech host, Sanjay Parker, and I'm here with Mike Carswell to talk about all things technology related for your home, your business, and your life. We've got a really cool show today for you, and we're going to be talking about emulators.
Emulators. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. This is Mike Carswell. This is Tech Talk 2020 here on WINT 1330 AM. We're also on WINTradio.com, or you can even use the TuneIn app on your smartphone to get to WINT 1330 AM and find out, there's so many different ways to listen to us, and we hope that you do. Check us out on Facebook at Tech Talk 2020, as well as tweet at us during the show. Also at Tech Talk 2020. How many times do I have to say Tech Talk 2020?
It sounds great every single time.
I don't mind saying it.
Hey, Mike, it seems like we're starting off every show lately with a trip down memory lane. So I'm going to paint another picture for you.
I have a lot of memories.
Yes.
Most of them jaded, but no.
So
good.
Mike was, let's say, 8 to 14 years old. Okay,
Ooh.
Remember Mike running around, playing some hoops, having fun with his friends outside. But also, Mike might remember playing some old video games.
I was listening to disco at that time as well.
Yeah, we'll skip that part.
Okay.
So, while he was
baby,
not listening
burn.
to disco, he was playing video games at the arcade and at home, maybe?
Yes.
Is that possible? Okay.
I think that's a high school thing, but yeah, more of a college thing for me, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. That's interesting.
No, actually, let me back up. No, I did play Pong.
Yeah.
I had some experiences with Pong, and then there was some Tecmo Bowl was pretty hot and pretty big, and then, I was familiar with some of the games at the pinball arcades.
Yeah, for some of our younger listeners, an arcade is a place they used to go to
Yes.
play games because
Yes.
not everybody had a game system that was capable at home.
Yes, Pong was big, but I also remember there was a place downtown Cleveland. I'm going to definitely date myself here. Everybody lift your hand high if you remember Gene's Funny House. Gene's Funny House was on 9th Street. And right now, the National City Bank building at 9th and Euclid, it encompasses a city block, but towards the end of that block, going north, was this place called Gene's Funhouse. And I went to Gene's Funhouse. I'm sure you can look it up online.
That does sound familiar. That does. So
it was fun, man.
There's a TV game show called Starcade, where they would have these kids come on and they'd have like 2 minutes to play a game, and we'd watch it. Now today, millions of people are watching people play video games on YouTube.
I saw that.
Like Twitch TV, there's software that allows you to do it. While you play with your friends, you just comment on what you're doing. Basically what you did with your own friends, at home back in the day.
Right.
Back to emulators. So
yes, emulators.
So an emulator allows you to recreate something using software. For example, the hardware that was used by those systems you mentioned in the old arcades,
Okay, yep. Mm-hmm.
they were pretty modern for their time, but by today's standards, they're primitive. This means that you can actually play all those games on your current PC or your phone.
Wait a minute. You mean so I can go back and pick up some of the games that I used to thoroughly enjoy, like Pac-Man, Galaxia, I can't think of any too many right now. Give me some time.
Centipede?
Oh, I never liked that one.
No?
I never liked that. I didn't like Tetris either.
Miss Pac-Man?
No.
Baby Pac-Man? Donkey Kong Jr.
Been there, done that. But those
Dragon's Lair.
Remember, those are the ones that came after the initial ones. So
yeah.
That's right. I'm a firm believer in the originals. No, I'm kidding.
Well, your computer today,
yes,
or your phone has orders of magnitude more power than those boxes back then,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
So those systems had primitive graphics, primitive processors, limited sound subsystems. It's kind of like
sure
tinny, and they pumped it up with some speakers. But
okay.
Today's personal computers and phones are much more powerful. And what that means is that they can actually emulate all of those systems right in your own hand or at your home. And the best thing is that those systems, when they're emulated and you're playing those games, it's like having unlimited quarters. You never have to pop in any money.
So you're scaring me, man, because now I can take a jet back to Gene's Funny House. Or there was one in Lake County on Robin Hood, which I can't remember the name of the place, but I was an adult at the time, and I remember working in Euclid. Every now and again, I'd zip over there for lunchtime, and I played this amazingly cool baseball game. And boy, do I miss that. That game was pretty awesome. So
That is awesome. And, the best technology was at these arcades at the time because
Sure.
not, a single person could bring it into their home. We didn't have PlayStations and, even Wii's are very powerful, even though they're considered primitive by today's standards.
let's do something a little fun. If you're out there, you're listening to the show, and you had a favorite video game from, let's say, the late 70s or the early 80s, hit us up on Facebook and say what your favorite game was. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. So many great, great, great games. There's a place in Euclid on East 200th Street. I think it was called John's Arcade or something like that. It's just a small place. They had maybe 5 or 6 games, and all the neighborhood kids would go there. It was pretty cool. It was a great way to learn how to play new things. I remember the game Gauntlet. Do you remember that?
No, I do not.
Oh, man, that was so awesome.
I remember the name. I remember there's some games you played, some you didn't. Space Invaders, too. Obviously, we left that one out.
Yeah, how could we?
That was pretty early on, pretty huge.
Absolutely. So there are all those games at the arcade, but you also remember those game systems. Remember the Atari 2600?
Yes, I do.
The big one. They were selling millions of those per month at its peak.
And Sega.
Sega, yeah, what?
Sega
was it just
Genesis,
called
I believe it was called.
Genesis,
It
right?
had I'm sorry, we should do some more research.
Nintendo,
That's some great
GameCube,
games. Oh, yeah.
ColecoVision. I
Yes.
had that.
Yes, okay.
And Intellivision, I had a friend who had it.
Did you ever hear or see, there was some Mattel games that were handheld. You played football on those, and basically, how man, we would just really compensate and compromise. The runners was a dash.
It was. It was, right.
It was a dash. I made it down the field with a dash. Think about today's video games where they have an actual person that's sweating and his eyeballs are hanging out and everything else. But the deal is it's really
And
funny
you can
how far
see
we've come.
the muscle and the sun. It's amazing. The Commodore 64 was a great computer with tons of games as well. But we're not here to talk about games.
Although I'm excited.
Right. That's why we're talking about games, to get you and everybody else excited. So
Okay.
there's really, it's an amazing thing. So again, an emulator allows you to take old things or different things and use them on your current hardware. So let me tell you how it works. So let's talk about how an emulator works, because I always like to teach something. This might be, I'll try to boil it down into something very basic. So today, think about your computer.
Mm-hmm.
When you type something into a computer or click using a mouse, that instruction to do something from you gets translated from that mouse or keyboard into something a computer understands.
Okay.
And that's called, you can even call it an emulator of human input, which is the binary code or the machine language of the machine. So all this pretty stuff you have on your Mac or your Windows PC that you click on, that's really something just for you. When you click on it, it translates it into something the computer can understand. So
Okay.
really, that's almost an emulator itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's translating what you're doing into something the computer can understand. So with actual emulators that we're talking about today, you can take that one step further, where the brain of the system, or the guest system, which is what you're emulating, is like having its input translated from a host. So basically, it's like hearing a foreign language and not even having to translate it. That's what it's doing. And so when you do an emulator on a computer, it's actually taking instructions meant for one system and translating it into another, and you're seeing it on that older or different system. So I'll
Okay.
give you some examples in a minute, but really, it's just getting translated to that emulated device. And for game emulators that we're talking about, the most important thing is you create that emulator, right? A lot of these video games, when you had them at arcades back in, let's say, 1986 to 1988, there was a very popular computer inside of those things. Not like a home computer, but an engine.
Mm-hmm.
So what these companies are doing, these actually open source people who are just having fun with it, they're recreating that computer brain, and you download a ROM, which is read-only memory.
Okay.
That's the actual game. It's like the equivalent of a cartridge you'd plug into an Atari. That's the ROM.
Gotcha.
Right? You can't do anything with it except play
Except
it.
for
You can't
play
change
that
it.
game, right.
You can't save to
It's
it.
one purpose.
Right. So they create the brain of that engine, and then you just download the ROMs, and it plays it. So that's how it works. So you download and access it. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah. I'm digging it. I'm just already thinking ahead of myself here. What game do I want to play? What game of my sordid youthful past do I want to play? So that's what I'm thinking about. Let's move on. Let's get a game. I want to download. Where can I get it?
Wait. So there's so many choices. So there's projects on the web that allow you to build your own arcade console. So you get this big box out of wood, and you make one of those consoles. You get a joystick with little buttons. Remember how some of those games you had to hit the button so fast to run faster?
Yes.
All you hear is
It was a
click,
track and field game that was played. Yeah.
Yeah, think about the testing on that. How many clicks do they have to go through? Goodness. Anyway, you get that arcade console, you put a computer in it, and you can run hundreds of the old arcade classics. We forgot Zaxxon. Remember Zaxxon?
Oh, yes, I do. Don't remember playing it, but I definitely remember the name.
Pitfall. Boy, such
Remember,
good
look,
stuff.
dude, we're talking quarters, okay?
We're talking quarters.
You only had so many. So you pick something, you played it a lot, and the other ones you're a little less adventurous for that.
That's true.
There was no way to win more money.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You were
It's entertainment.
You would go, hey, I got $4 to spend. I'm it. That's it. It wasn't going to multiply when you're there, unlike other places.
Yeah. I met Nolan Bushnell at Case this past summer. He's a guy who invented Atari, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so he went on to invent, the concept of an arcade system where he said, look, nobody can buy these systems. They're just too expensive for people to put in their homes. So what should we do? We should put these at places and then charge people quarters to play it. And we should make it sufficiently hard that you have to spend quite a bit of money to get competent with it, right? Before you start spending too much time on that.
It's initial investment, sure.
And then he said he went on to found Chuck E. Cheese, right? So he founded Chuck E. Cheese. And he said, you know what? The way I started the business was, it's not really a pizza place. It's a video game place because I want you to play video games when you're waiting for your pizza. Pizza is just peripheral to the whole concept.
Are you saying that the pizza there isn't the finest quality pizza?
I happen to like it with a lot of pepper on it, but hey.
I don't know. I kind of feel a little pizza bias going on here with Chuck E. Cheese pizza. Honestly, I can completely understand that.
Right. So while you're waiting for your pizza, play the game. So
Sure.
you can get that, and you can build it, find instructions on the internet. You can also buy it. If you Google this term, X-Arcade, X-Arcade, you can actually buy a pre-built game console for about $2,800. So you get that, it gets shipped to you, put in your basement, and you can play hundreds of those old games.
Can I play hundreds of those games on my current PC, though?
You can.
It just won't give me the same feel as the old arcade. That's what he's basically clinging to, is our archaic and our reminiscing. What's the word I want? Our trip back, our nostalgic piece.
Yeah,
is what he's aiming at. Yeah.
So a lot of people. There's actually a company in Willoughby, near downtown Willoughby, that sells and refurbishes those old arcade systems. There's a lot of nostalgia, right? And that's part of the reason why emulators are so possible. The hardware is going to die and go away and stop being produced. But we don't want to lose that old programming, that old cultural snippet, or even that old knowledge. So the way to carry that on is through an emulator that can be done in software. It's one of the big reasons.
I want to see some of this. And actually what's interesting is that I remember going to either a garage sale, some sort of a sale, within the last 5 years, and I saw the baseball game that tugged on my heart. For like $350, and I thought about how much fun I had with it in the past, and I talked myself out of that rather quickly, but no, it would be kind of fun. There are parts of our past that we should leave, Sanjay, but then there's other things that we just can't want to go back to. So.
Nostalgia is a great thing, but yes, you do have to move forward. That's where I live, right? But let me tell you one more thing. So the technology has also changed what we can do in the same form factor. So you can actually there's actually something on Amazon. It's like $65. You remember those old Atari 2600 joysticks, the classic design, orange button, red button?
Yep. Who came with the name joystick anyway? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, Tandy actually used to call it a linear potentiometer, which didn't take off quite as well.
Not quite. Joystick. That's a nice.
So you take the joystick, and it's got about 10 games on it, and for about $65, you can play like the old Atari 2600 games without anything else. Everything's built in. You just plug it into your TV. That's it.
Nice.
Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
If you've got time to play. Many of us have to work. So
for some of us, work is play.
Check that out. Well, listen, hey, we're going to take a break here on Tech Talk 2020. We do thank you for tuning in. Again, if there's something that you really like nostalgically from the 70s or 80s, a video game that you might have played, hit us up on Facebook and let us know what it was. We want to thank you for listening to Tech Talk 2020 here on 1330 AM, WINTradio.com. Talk to you after the break.
At O'Brien Chevrolet, we service all makes and models of cars and trucks. No matter what you drive, foreign or domestic, our technicians can keep your vehicle in top shape. Major repairs, tires, or a quick oil change, we can take care of you at Pat O'Brien Chevrolet.
Average sports fan ponders his evening.
Wow, tonight is a big night for sports on TV, but small choices in my fridge. What about Players Club at Lost Nation Sports Park? The Players Club has big energy, but small, cozy atmosphere. Big TVs, small drive. Big happy hour, small prices. Big parking lot, small hassle. Awesome burgers, big salad, lots of appetizers. Okay, that's it. I'm going tonight.
The Players Club at Lost Nation Sports Park. Yeah, it's a big deal. Small wonder.
It's the Wake Up Show. Join Linda, Al, and me at 6 a.m. with best-selling author Judy Bloom, Bill Mold from Entergy Wholesale Commodities, and William Levi's from PSEG Power talk America's nuclear power plants. LaToya Drake, Google technologist, Greg Smolik from Best Solutions Home Medical Supplies and Equipment, plus the News Herald's Mark Mazzoros on Integrity Radio, WINT, 1330 a.m.
Recline, relax, and enjoy the show. Atlas Cinemas at the Great Lakes Mall Stadium 16 now features luxurious and comfy oversized style seating with full recliner. With advanced digital projection and Real D XL 3D, you'll not only be entertained with the best surround sound, but in style and comfort. Coming soon, you'll be able to select your seat online at the Atlas Cinemas Great Lakes Mall Stadium 16 Theater box office or at one of the self-serve lobby kiosks. For movie selections at all 5 Atlas Cinemas locations, visit atlascinemas.net.
Are there secrets, dirty secrets to business success? I'm Jack Mancini.
And I'm Adam Sonhalter. Having owned and operated 20 small businesses and coached and advised hundreds more, we've learned you need more than just a good idea and hard work to achieve success.
Join us every Monday at noon as we debunk the common myths of business ownership, expose the impact of government regulation, share small business success stories, and most importantly, reveal the many lesser-known
dirty secrets of small business. Mondays at noon on Integrity Radio, WINT 1330 AM and WINTradio.com.
Welcome back to Tech Talk 2020 with Sanjay Parker and my co-host Mike Carswell. Today we're talking about emulators and all of the cool things you can do with them, especially bring back those old video games from your childhood. Today's quarter hour is sponsored by CleveSpace Interactive, frictionless IT for small businesses. If you need a website, you need some technology outsource, you need any help with IT, contact CleveSpace Interactive, 440-360-7360. They'd be glad to help you out, and they're here right in Lake County.
Dude, let's get excited about video games now. Video games. There used to be a lot of games that, or songs even, that will talk about people's addiction to video games. Do you think people are addicted to video games? What's your take on that?
I'm kind of busy playing something right now. Can you hold on a minute? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. You know, they have a video games or iPads or anything. It's definitely a consuming experience. I played a lot of video games when I was younger, but when I got into high school, a little bit after in college, I didn't play video games for another 15 years. I had no interest, and I knew that it's definitely what we call a time suck. It'll take away all your time. You know, we actually are going to talk about quite a few subjects, not just tonight, but obviously through the duration of our shows. But one of the things we definitely have to talk about, the science. I would wonder about the physiological effect on children that started with video games so much earlier than other kids. I mean, I've been a parent sitting and watching a parent at a restaurant give a 1-year-old a phone to occupy them while they do something else. I would give my kid the coffee creamer, or give him my keys or something to kind of entertain him. And then parents hand their phone over, an iPad over, and say, "Hey, do that, Junior." It's the electronic nanny.
I wonder about that sometimes. I wonder. Some other show, we'll talk about that one.
Yeah, that's a great topic. There's a lot of distraction today in the world, especially on the digital side, that companies are spending a lot of time trying to figure out. And I do agree. You've got to limit your screen time for the kids, especially. They say 1 hour a day. That includes TV and iPads. In the best case, 2 hours at most. I don't think a lot of parents are adhering to that. So, So we're talking about emulators and how they can bring back old arcade games. You can play them on your PC or your phone or any of these new hardware devices. But there's a lot of other uses for emulators, and I'd like to get into that in a little bit here. Think about a lot of you have a home PC. It's got Windows 7 on it.
Mine has Windows 10.
Windows 10. Mike, you are living in the present. I am loving it.
I'm on the edge, baby.
You're actually on the edge because 83% of people who would have Windows machines that are modern on their system and still support it. It's Windows 7. Very small percentage of Windows 8 and a small percentage of Windows 10, although the uptake is quite significant.
I actually have Windows something else on my old PC, so that seems to work better.
Probably XP.
Yeah.
Yeah, less trying to do everything. Windows 10 is pretty good, though. I'm very happy with it.
Good.
So Windows 7, when it came out, it changed the architecture of the system, and it broke quite a few programs, especially at first, until they updated them. So what they included was a Windows XP emulator, so that you could put this on, and you can actually run programs that wouldn't work on Windows 7 until they were updated. So that was an emulator that had a good use. Microsoft had it. So on a PC, you're emulating an older version of the operating system without really downgrading your computer.
Okay.
Programmers use emulators all the time. I use it for testing. So there's something called VirtualBox or Virtual PC. These are free. You can go download them.
Here I go.
VirtualBox, Virtual PC. And if you want to run another operating system like Ubuntu Linux, has anybody heard of Linux?
I've heard of Linux.
How
But
did
not
I
everybody out there has heard of Linux.
I love saying the word Ubuntu.
I would too. That's kind of a cool African thing to do.
Yes, and it means like brotherly love, family love. It's like community love and caring for each other.
Nice. That's nice.
So the idea behind Ubuntu was it's an open source version of an operating system. It's like Windows, but it's free, and it has all the similar programs. You can do same things, browse the internet, check your email, edit video and photos.
Can you create documents?
You can create, edit, and do Word and Excel documents, all that fun stuff. So Ubuntu is an operating system. So you can download VirtualBox, download an Ubuntu ROM, if you will, and then you can have a new operating system within your own system.
Now, didn't Google try to do something like that with the whole concept of Gmail and Google Documents, and that had kind of a situation to compete with that?
Yeah, that's really good. So with Google Docs, everything is done in the cloud, including editing and everything through your browser. So that's emulating it to a degree over the cloud. It's just different programming, though. They made their own format.
Sure.
So they've got compatibility with Microsoft Office and things like that. But speaking of compatibility, that's what programmers use emulators for. You can test your programming. Let's say it's a website. You can test it on Windows, test it on a Macintosh PC. You can test it on Linux, all within your same machine. You don't have to have 3 machines set
Understood.
up.
Yeah.
So Macintosh operating system, for those of you who are Mac owners, you know of something called Parallels. And what that allows you to do is run Windows on your Mac. I know that sounds like sacrilege, but it's useful when you have to use it for work or use Microsoft Office in Windows mode. And so you can run software, Windows software, on your Mac computer. And then Windows has a few emulators that allow you to run Macintosh on their own system. So kind of interesting. Also, if you have an iPhone, many of us do, of course, and if you have an Android, that's the other large majority of folks. Right, that's about 100% of us, right? So they use emulators to test their apps on computers to see if it'll work on the phone before they deploy it. Definitely a time saver.
I was going to say, I like the fact that we carry around a small computer now. So I can do just about everything I do on my phone that I would normally do with my PC.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Some of our audience doesn't have a smartphone yet. Some of our listening audience, they don't even have a smartphone yet.
We would love to help you guys move forward. Not everybody needs a smartphone. And the opposite of a smartphone, Mike, is called?
Not smartphone. I'm not saying it.
A feature phone.
Oh, okay. Less featured phone.
Yeah, that's actually more appropriate. So I remember I had an old Atari ST, and I used to use it to record my songs, and it was just not supported. I needed to get something new. I bought a used Macintosh, and I missed my Atari ST so much that I found an emulator that allowed me to run my old Atari ST programs on my Mac. And that was the way I transitioned over to the Mac and then over to the PC, because I didn't want to lose that. So I didn't want to lose access to my old legacy software, my data, and code just because the hardware stopped working. That's really one of the reasons why emulators live on. It's really important.
Yeah.
So here's some stuff for you guys to look up. If you're interested in emulators, Google this. This is a website. It's really doesn't have the best interface, but it probably has the most comprehensive list of resources for you. It's called Emulator Zone. Google that. Emulator Zone. Go ahead and take a look at that, Mike, while I'm talking. Lots of links, lots of ideas on emulators. Of course, Wikipedia has a great set of information on emulators in general, particularly software emulators. The other thing you should get, this is where I first started out when I started messing around with this years ago, something called MAME, M-A-M-E.
Okay, M-A-M-E. Now, I've got to say something about emulator. The site does not look friendly.
It's scary.
It looks,
but it's comprehensive. It's comprehensive.
I got you. But that would intimidate quite a few.
Just close your eyes and click on a link. You'll find something that you'll learn.
I'm intimidated. I'm too big to be intimidated, right? I shouldn't be intimidated. I'll dance there later. That's cool.
On the left-hand side of that site, there's lots of cool navigation for your old, systems. So MAME, Multiple Arcade Machine Emulator. It used to be called Magic Arcade Machine Emulator, but it's now Multiple Arcade Machine Emulators.
You and your acronyms.
This is the most popular. So this one's constantly updated.
Mm-hmm.
I just read earlier today that it allows you to run over 100,000 different game ROMs on your PC through one emulator because it contains the code and the brains for hundreds of different devices.
Okay.
A little word of caution around these ROMs. Most of them are public domain now because they're no longer commercially available.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the newer ones that they've got out there for like the Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo 64, technically you need to have the cartridge license, meaning you own the cartridge, before you can legally download the ROM. So just be careful with that, but go ahead and check it out. There's so much free and public domain things. You can start playing games using your keyboard, or you can hook up a joystick to your PC and actually play those games, like all of the games we mentioned.
You name it before. So what's interesting to me is probably many of the gamers out there, which I don't know how many are actually listening, but those gamers out there are already fully aware of these sites where they can go and have access to some history. But I'm going to say a good portion of our audience has never heard about this, and that would be half of this room.
So, wait a minute. Only 1/3 of this room. Our producer there.
I don't know. Our board up. You've never heard of these, have you? Oh, okay, shut up.
So we've started our poll on Facebook. What was your favorite arcade game back in the day? We'd love to hear what your favorite arcade games were in the day.
I just got dissected again. Now we're down to 25%.
Somebody else just walked into the boardroom there and said they're familiar with it. So, Mike, this is why I love having you here, because I know at least I've educated one person.
That's
today.
right. I'm expanding my globe. You know where they used to say that at? The wide world of sports. See, you just learned something.
Thank you. I remember that. The agony of defeat and the thrill of victory.
The globe. That's right. That's right.
I don't remember that other part, but that's awesome. So hopefully we got some good ideas to you around what emulators are. Now you can talk eloquently to your friends, your family, your children, your grandchildren, if you've got them, about all this cool stuff. You might take this knowledge and teach somebody else. That would make us feel really good.
You can talk intelligently about emulators, which is a cool word. We try to learn a word every week. So emulators is one, and our acronym today is going to be MAME, which is Multiple Arcade Machine Emulators. Woohoo!
That's awesome.
You proud of me?
I'm very proud of you. Thank you.
I thought you would be. Well, guys, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking a few moments and listening to us today on Tech Talk 2020. I'm Mike Carswell here with my co-host and champion of my life, Sanjay Parker. You didn't know that, did you? We appreciate you listening in. Tune us in on every Wednesday night here at 7 here on WINTradio.com or 1330 AM WINT.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.